Welcome to Beyond the Chutes, the rodeo podcast that dives deep into the heart of Western culture. I'm your host, Doug Simcox, and here we explore it all. Rodeo's rich histories, the legends and their stories, today's competitors shaping the sport, and the behind-the-scenes heroes who make it happen. From bucking chutes to timed events, from rodeo history to current events, this is your all-access pass to the world of rodeo. Our show is presented by Parasite Systems, who help vet clinics and animal owners experience the power of sight. New in 2025, the all-in-one analyzer featuring fecal site AI, hemosite AI, and flow site AI technology. You can find them at parasitesystems.com. Welcome to Beyond the Chutes is presented by Parasite Systems. I'm your host, Doug Simcox. We are sitting here in Taylorsville, Kentucky on a rather cold January day. We got about 20 degrees outside. We got about 2 inches of snow on the ground. It has partially melted, but has refrozen. And I've got my co-host with us here today, Mr. Sam Swearingen. How are you today?
I'm good, Doug. Thank you for inviting me.
I tell you what, been a long time since we've been able to sit in the same place and have a conversation.
Yeah, and especially we got to be with old friends and enjoy the weekend.
It has been so far a rodeo reunion, if you will, of the Rawhide Rodeo gang. And we've got two very special guests with us here today. We've got Mr. Raymond Hofstetter, the 2018 IPRA Saddle Bronc World Champion and part of the original Rawhide Rodeo crew. Morning, Raymond.
Morning, Doc.
Yes, sir. And we've got Jeremy Swearingen, Chick-Shinny, Pennsylvania. I like that name. I like anytime I can say Chick-Shinny, it just feels like a good day, Jeremy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And also part of the Rawhide Rodeo gang. I met Jeremy high school rodeo, I would say, and he was riding a course with Rawhide Rodeo. Bull rider, had these great looking chaps on, kind of a zebra.
Yep, zebra. Hair-on zebra chap.
And I gotta ask you, and I never asked you this. Where'd you get that idea? Where'd you find those chaps?
I don't know where the idea come from, but I seen zebra chap somewhere, and I really liked them. So when I won the high school rodeo, they gave me a gift certificate, and I had them ordered.
Okay, we're talking about Pennsylvania High School Rodeo.
Yep.
And what year, without looking at your belt buckle, what year did you win the Pennsylvania State Bull Riding Championship?
2001.
2001. And then you went to the Nationals?
Yep, in Springfield, Illinois.
Springfield, Illinois. Okay. And we'll talk a little bit more about that sort of thing. Back to you, Raymond. You've been busy this fall. But for our guests, catch us up a little bit. Born and raised where?
In Conowanga, New York.
Tonawanda.
Conewango.
Conewango.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you spell that?
Conewango.
Okay. And how did you find rodeo?
There's a place in Pennsylvania that they used to buck bulls that I went to riding bulls there.
You started riding bulls?
Yeah.
When did you start riding broncs?
2013, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you start working for the Rawhide Rodeo crew?
2013.
2013.
Yeah.
And that was when you said, now, of course, with a mentor like Sam Swearingen, world champion saddle bronc rider, was that what got you into the bronc riding as opposed to bull riding?
No, I liked riding broncs before. I wasn't very good at riding bulls, so this rodeo I went to, they had bronc riding, and I was the only bronc rider. And I always got paid in a bronc riding, so and I could stay on them.
You got to make money go down the road, don't you?
Yeah.
And you had grown up riding horses?
Yeah. We always had ponies when we were little. They go to school and stuff. So.
No, wait a minute. Yeah. You rode ponies to school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a little shed there to tie your ponies in, so we had 1.5 miles to go to school, so we rode our ponies a lot of times.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And you were brought up Amish.
Yeah, until I was 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you went to ride these bulls, were you still in the Amish community? Did you sneak out to go ride, or what or had you left by then?
No, I had left by then.
So when you snuck out to go watch the Gary Rodeo, was that a sneak out, or did your parents know you're going, or how was that?
No, that we snuck out that day after, I think it was after church. I think.
Oh, wow.
I think, I don't really remember, but because Gary, is that on a Sunday?
No.
Okay, it couldn't have been then. Must have been Saturday afternoon, I guess but my parents definitely didn't know about it.
And how far was Gary from where you grew up, where you were living?
I think it's about 20 minutes.
Okay,
Yep.
so not far.
And I didn't even know. It seemed like a long way with a horse and buggy. Of course, we hired a driver. Like
Did
it
you?
was all
Okay.
new area to me. Like
Okay.
we'd never go that far up there that far.
Okay, so you hired a driver. How do you get a hold of this driver on a Saturday night to go to watch the rodeo, being a kid that's sneaking out?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
My buddy had a buddy that was a non-Amish, was an Englishman that took us up there.
Okay, so he was
And-
with him or something that day and
Yeah.
said, let's go to the rodeo. And
I think this guy used to drive the Amish around, so we told him not to tell anybody, or we get in trouble.
so, yeah, everybody sneaks out of what they're due, but
Yeah.
usually not to go to a rodeo.
Right,
You know, in life,
right.
you sneak out of the house, your parents' house, because you're not supposed to do something. But being an Amish and you sneak out to go to the rodeo, how'd you even know the rodeo was going on? What, you know?
I think we had like a little flyer or something that we saw. My buddy had a leather shop that they had like flyers in it of different things, and I think they had one there.
Okay,
that
so
he-
somebody came to the leather shop, handed them, put the flyer on the wall,
Yeah.
and you came in there to get some work done for your harness or something, and you seen it, and then you and your buddy started conniving how to get to the rodeo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I get it.
We missed like the first half of the rodeo. I guess we didn't pay attention to see what time it starts or what, but we got there for, I think, the team roping and the barrel race, and then they had a couple of re-rides and the bronc riding, and then the bull riding.
Okay.
And what would have been did your parents ever find out?
Not that I know of.
Oh, my. Do I need to edit this out of this episode?
No, you're good now.
You sure?
Yeah.
No consequence
Yeah.
at this point, you
No.
don't reckon?
No,
No.
I've done the worst. So.
Yeah. Well, and Doug, I don't think his parents are going to be listening to a podcast anyway. I don't think they have a phone to listen
Well,
to
that's
it.
true. Let's take it higher and down.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's things happen.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, as I'm sitting here, it's kind of and this whole weekend, Sammy alluded to it earlier, this whole weekend it feels like a big old reunion. And we're going to talk a little bit about the American here, but we got to see part of the original Rawhide Rodeo crew. Of course, Colton, your son, Swearingen, my goodness, he's advanced to the final round, but great to see him.
Yeah, Colton, he really looks good. He's really looks to me like he's taking care of business, and that's all I can ask for. You know,
bet.
you
bet.
win, that's great, but take care of business and see where it takes you.
You bet. And he's out representing, right? He's out representing. And
Representing well.
representing well.
Just like Raymond and Jeremy and Dalen and Eli, they're representing well, and I appreciate that.
I was going to say, you got quite a crew out there, Sam, that's out actively competing. Eli, 2024 Mid-States Rodeo Association all-around champion, right? And saddle bronc riding champion as well. And we'll talk about the IFR here in just a bit, but he qualified again. And of course, Dalen.
Yeah, last night was kind of fun because 3 boys competed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm watching Raymond ride Broncs and watching Dalen on the TV and
on Ride
bouncing
Pass
around.
on your
Yeah,
phone.
Right.
And I think, if I remember right, there was some sort of ruckus in our section. And I believe you had your volume on your phone up too high when you put...
I got to thinking, he's going to ride right now, and I turned it on, and it just blurted out. So
I don't think anybody but a few of us heard it, though.
I waited for the prayer to be over before I
You
turned
did.
it on.
You
And
did.
that.
And you
Okay.
you didn't do anything wrong. As soon as you realized it was too loud, you turned it down, right? So that was excellent. But my goodness, the Rawhide Rodeo crew that's out there and getting it done. I'm just, you got to be proud, Sam.
Yeah, it's a blessing, that you get to watch them and do well, but it's more of a blessing to see the way they're growing up and what they're doing.
You bet. You bet. And Jeremy, I know part of the Swearingen family, was it just, you were just going to be in rodeo? Was that always the thing?
Yeah. I was, from the first time I seen it, I was hooked.
Did you do sheep riding? How'd you come up through?
Yep, I did the mutton busting, and then they put me on some roping calves when I was little and went from there.
Okay. And of course, you had your brother Matt that was already competing. I remember him in the calf roping.
Yep. Yeah, he got on a couple bareback horses and bulls, but he knew the roping was more for him.
Yeah, yeah. So what great job, you guys. And I'm just going to echo what Sam said. So proud of what you guys are doing out there.
Thank you. I got a little story about Jeremy and Matt. One year for Christmas, I knew Jeremy wanted, and he probably wasn't 4 or 5 years old. He wanted to, you could tell he wanted to do the rodeo thing. So what did I do? I bought him, you may never even remember this, Jer. I bought him 2 ropes for Christmas. A pretty blue rope I gave to Matt, and a real looking rodeo rope. Didn't have any color. It was the normal cowboy rope. And, I thought, well, Jeremy's going to be the cowboy out of the 2. I'll give him this rope. And, did he get upset that he didn't have the blue rope? And, tears rolling down his face,
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember that, Jer?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I remember getting a pair of chaps and some bull riding stuff at the one Christmas.
No, you were pretty young when I bought you those 2 ropes, and I thought I'd give him the rope that's a cowboy rope, but he wanted the blue pretty.
He wanted the blue pretty rope. Well,
I should have got a pink rope and see where that led.
Oh no! Let's not go that way. Yeah. So it's been a busy fall for you, Raymond. You qualify to the American Finals Rodeo in Columbiana, Ohio, and the Garwood Arena. That's like 3rd or 4th year there. Tell us about your experience at the arena. I've never been there. Many of our listeners haven't been.
Yeah, they had a good finals, I think, and it's a really nice place. And I didn't draw real good. Didn't ride real good. Didn't really have a great finals there. I think I placed 4th one route maybe.
Okay. And in 2022, you won the American Professional Rodeo Association Saddle Bronc Championship.
Yeah, I think it was 22.
You don't have that belt buckle on today?
No.
Okay. No. Which belt buckle do you have on, by the way?
My 2018 IPRA Saddle Bronc World Champion.
Okay. Okay. Is that the one you always wear? Is that your most common one?
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah. Depends on where you're going?
Yeah, I usually, when I get a new one, I'll wear it for a while and then
break it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all get a turn.
Do they? Rotate them through. Yeah. And Jeremy, what belt buckle are you wearing today? I don't want to leave you out.
2001 Saddle Bronc High School Rodeo Champion.
Pennsylvania, right?
Yep.
Pennsylvania. And Sam, do you have belt buckle on today?
I do.
Which one is it?
This is actually kind of a story. When you asked me, I thought of it. It is the Mardi Gras horse of the IPRA Horse of the Year. And Mardi Gras was a horse that I actually bought at a bucking horse sale for Jeremy to practice on.
Really, practice
in his high
horse.
School rodeo. I watched the horse go. He just hopped out through there, hippity, just perfect to spur. I thought, man, this will teach Jeremy how to ride. Really good. Then we got him home, and he was a different horse. Good enough to be bucking horse of the year. Good enough for Heath DeMoss to be 89 points on in Marshfield, Massachusetts. So he wasn't a horse to learn on.
Yeah. And you saw that real quick when you got him to the house?
It took about a year before he really came into his own. He always stalled when he left there at first, and he just I don't know what the difference was. He had a Harry Vold brand and a Southern Rodeos brand, and I called him Mardi Gras, but we kind of tried to look him up, and I think his name was Porcupine, and been to the NFR a few times, and just must have been a horse that they sold in a package or something to Southern Rodeos. And he didn't like the heat. That was the only thing about him. I took him to Florida. It's the only time he really didn't buck for me.
Oh, really? Okay.
But going from a practice horse to the best horse in the IPRA. That, and I didn't give much money for him. We were talking about it last night. I thought I gave $450 for him, and Sylvain said, or BJ said, I gave $550 for him. But yeah, I bought that horse just for a practice horse for Jeremy, and
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it was a good buy.
Yeah.
I think I told you when I bought him. I called you or told you I had a horse for you, didn't I?
Probably. I think I remember that. I don't know if I ever got on him, though.
No, once he started bucking, it was like, this ain't
Not
for
a
you.
high school.
No.
Not a high school practice horse.
More Simple Simon. Bay Rocker.
Yeah, Bay Rocker was good to learn on. Bar 3 was probably the best.
And 3 weeks ago, Raymond, you were at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, at the PRCA First Frontier Circuit in the Farm Show Arena. Followed you online and everything. Of course, if you got the Cowboy Channel, you can find that on there. That First Frontier Circuit Finals is there. But 3 good rounds of competition for you. Talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, they're really good finals, I think. And the first round ended up second. The first round had a Cowtown horse, an older horse that I've been in the 80s on before, and he was old. He was pretty old, so he isn't looking like he usually does in the middle of winter.
Right,
And
right.
so he was just okay. I think 75, 76 or something. And then won the second round, another one of Cowtown's horses. And then I won the third round on Painted Ponies, Jackson Girl.
Okay.
Yep. Nice horse.
And that placed you second in the average.
Yep.
And good crowds, I heard, down there.
Yeah. Friday night and Saturday night was sold out.
Wow.
Yep. A lot of people.
Good energy?
Yeah, really good. They had the Ryder Kiesner, I think, the guy that did the NFR,
Oh, okay.
the trick roper and his wife trick riding.
Yeah.
They were there.
Oh, nice.
And they had the First Frontier, the gas out there to light it up, and then he came out with his whips and the fire whips and lit it up. It was really cool.
Good.
Yeah, it was a cool deal.
In that family, Ryder is the trick roper, and Roper is the bronc rider in that family.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. I like that.
So
I like
they're
that.
good people. Good people.
Been in the business for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And that qualified you. Your place in the average and everything. You're in position. You end up second in the world.
Yep.
Okay. Or in the circuit, I should say. And that qualified you for your second NFR Open in Colorado Springs, which will be coming up, I think, in July this year.
Yeah, middle of July. Yep.
Okay. And you qualified for that last year. Colorado Springs. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that was really cool. It's just a cool place to go to. Yeah, and good Broncs there. They bring the good ones, and just had a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And your first round, I believe it was, really, really, really nice ride.
Yeah, that one, Sammy Andrews slapping leather, and I asked him about her, and he's like, ask his son maybe, and he's like, oh, this one rears out, and I was like, okay. So I had to walk away, and he's like, remember, she rears out.
Yeah.
So I was ready. I figured she's going to rear out. So she did, probably the biggest rear out I've ever been on. Yep.
And markout rules still in effect. And
Yep.
rear out doesn't matter. When her feet hit the ground for the first time, your feet got to be in position.
Yeah.
And how do you time that? How do you make sure that when it hits down, because it's a big ride, right? A lot at stake. How do you make sure that you've got a good hold of them when they come out that high and that much power?
I like to wait. I don't always, but I like to wait until they're all the way up and they're coming down, and then it seems you can hold it a lot better than if you mark them out when they're going up. It kind of wants to, I think, run you back a little bit.
Yeah. It's sliding you out the back, and the the theory is you want to mark them, get a hold of them right at the peak. So what he's saying is exactly right. You want to wait till they start just at the break to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
So
And we're going to talk a little bit about the IPRA new rules coming in. One of the rules that affects the bronc riding, the bareback riding, the saddle bronc riding, is that there is no longer a requirement for a mark out, in that it may cost you some points, but it's not going to disqualify you if you fail to mark the horse out. What do you think of that new rule?
Yeah, I guess I didn't know this. I guess I saw them throw flags at IFR, but
Yes, but in 2025,
okay,
coming up. And last night it was a no mark out rule, right?
correct.
What? It wasn't. I didn't know that.
Well, and maybe I shouldn't have brought this up. You need
No.
to mark them out every time.
Yeah, I mean, so used to it.
Yeah. And Sam, talk a little bit about it. I know there's a lot of benefits of certainly not getting disqualified because of a close call, but the importance of the mark out, Sam, to the ride.
Well, the mark out sets the ride up. Like Raymond last night had a really good mark out. He had his feet right where they need to be, pulled him down into the saddle. It was real good. After that, wasn't so punchy, but there he did a good job there. And I really like that they're not disqualifying you for the mark out rule. You still want to mark them out. It still helps you. It's still the best way to ride broncs. But it's so much judgment. So much if a horse follows you and you got a good horse, you don't want to double grab and declare yourself. You want to ride him. That saves everybody. You don't have to buck another horse. You don't, if it doesn't follow you where you buck off, just so you can't mark them out. And it's supposed to wave it too, but they might not see it. If it hits you on the shoulder and pushes you forward, they might not see it from the floor. So I really, really like that they don't have a markup rule. I think it's the biggest thing I like is, say somebody's going for a championship and they've gone all year and worked so hard and everything, and then they throw a flag on you because they think you didn't mark them out, even if you did. A judgment call. It cost you everything you worked for all year. So it's taken some of the judgment out of it.
Okay. And one other rule that's come up, we were talking about mat and roping earlier, tie down calf roping. Used to be you got, after you tied the calf on the ground, you got on your horse, you rode ahead, put slack in the rope, and then I believe it's 5 seconds, the calf had to remain tied once you were in the saddle.
Yeah, in the IPRA it's 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
In the PRCA it's 6 seconds. So, and they're changing that rule to 3 seconds after the calf's tied. And I think that is just one of the new stepping stones for a better show for the people. The horse does, if he overworks, you can get to him and still get your time. It just so many benefits. And I don't know any of the negativity. Now, they said in the stock contractor meeting people were complaining and all that, but I have no idea why a stock contractor would think there's any negative to that. The calf's just, you get off the calf and you're pretty much done. Walk to your horse, ride up, and take the rope off.
You bet.
Just makes such common sense.
Yeah, and we've seen it for years in Canada.
Yeah.
And it's worked.
And they did it here.
And they did it here at the American.
Yeah, I watched the judge, I was trying to figure out what he did. He'd ride up there, and he must have been counting 3 seconds in his head or something, and he looked to make sure the tie was right, and he just nodded his head, and waved the guys in. I see no negative to it.
Okay, good. And excited they're thinking about these things.
Yeah.
And trying to advance the sport.
And going back to the markout rule, if Joe Smith is sitting in the stands and the guy rides a horse and they say it's a 0, well, he doesn't understand why the guy got the 0.
Yeah.
Slapping one, they can understand that. Bucking off, they get that. But why? What do you mean his feet weren't in place first jump?
Yeah.
What's that matter to winning?
Yeah. And a great example of that, we had Ron Martin out of Illinois, one of the AFR one. I'm sorry, IFR one, and qualified for 9 years. He got on Nightmare, the famous J Bar J Bronc, and he's at the IFR, and he misses her out. They go on and score the horse, and his ride was 94 points. Imagine watching this ride and then being told 0.
Yeah, and how, the people in the business understand the 0 and why, but the people in the stands don't. And, one of the really great bronc rides I seen, and it was at the Silverdome up in Michigan, and a kid from Michigan had Rector's Pass of J Bar J's, and this horse would rear out of there. I mean, he would really jump out of there. And the kid was from Michigan, probably one of the few people, or maybe the only one in the bronc riding that day. Trent Nogai was his name. He made the IFR a few times and rode excellent, and missed the horse out. And they said no score. Well, you got 60,000 people. When you say a kid from Michigan was a no scorer, you can imagine what it sounded like. But they didn't know why.
Right.
It was like they cheated their man.
Yeah. And as much as you tried to explain it, the announcer tried to explain it.
Yeah. It's like you're in a fight and I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah.
So.
Probably couldn't hear over the booze,
Yeah.
the explanation of why he didn't get a score. And on track for the IPRA, of course, last weekend was the International Finals Rodeo, 55 years, Sam, of rodeo. Guthrie, Oklahoma, Lazy E Arena. We went down there last year. What a great venue for a rodeo.
Yeah, that's a horse facility, and for timed eventers, they got all the stalls and everything right there handy. And, rough stock riders, it doesn't matter. You got a place to park your car. I think they're all happy, but, it is a great place. And, yeah, we went there the year before. I didn't go this year. I went to watch Dalen in Houston, but...
Yep.
So I was cold there last year. I figured.
Oh, it was cold. I mean, it was cold when we were there for sure. And the good news was we could watch it on TV, Cowboy Channel.
Yeah, I got to watch Eli on the Cowboy Channel.
Speaking of Eli Hirschberger, of course, we talked about him as a 2024 Mid-States Rodeo Association champion. He qualified to the finals there, part of the Rawhide Rodeo crew. Part of the team, we've already talked about that, and was also wearing the Rawhide BTC colors.
Yeah, you set him up with Wrangler and the Rawhide BTC, and him and Raymond both are wearing them. So
absolutely, and we figured if we sponsored him, we could get him on the microphone.
Well, I'm not so sure, but I was kind of surprised when these two agreed to do it.
Well, yeah, for sure. And we had Eli on this summer, and Raymond, you were there, and what I mean by that, you were at cow camp with us, but we didn't have you on the microphone that Sunday morning, and you were there, and part of the story that got told, something to do with one of the Troyer boys and Brandon.
Oh yeah. I think Timmy Troyer.
Was it?
Yeah, he wanted to get branded. It was this big dollar sign of Sam's, and nobody would do it.
And I mean, when you say big, how big?
It's like probably, I'd say 8 inches. Like it takes up from your elbow up almost to your shoulder.
He wanted that whole thing on his arm.
Yeah. And
Freeze brand, was it?
no, it's a hot brand.
Was it a hot brand?
Definitely, yeah.
And you say the dollar sign, and it was a dollar sign, but it was my first brand. It was 2 S's. For Sam Swearingen.
Okay.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a dollar sign.
Yeah.
And was it successful?
Yeah, it was. It made a burn. I'll put it that way.
And if he rolls up his sleeve today, can you identify the brand?
I don't know. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen it in 3-4 years probably.
Okay.
But
okay.
yeah. Yeah, he wanted somebody to brand him, and I stepped up and I said, I'll brand you.
Okay.
Now, you haven't seen it in 3 or 4 years. brands don't go away.
Yeah.
So it's still there. Do they, Jer?
Haven't seen it since. Okay. Now I'm putting that together because this wasn't the first brand. Now, to be fair, Sam, you didn't know any of this was going on ever while it was happening.
If I did, I don't know what I'd have done. I'd knock their heads together and say, how dumb are you guys? You know, what the heck?
Because Jeremy was one of the original branded Rawhide Rodeo crew.
Yep.
So
Are you proud of it? Yep.
how old were you?
I was still in high school.
Okay. And where'd the idea come from?
I don't really know where the idea come from.
But somebody raised the idea and you thought it was a good idea.
Yep.
And
We welded up a brand and heated it up on Sam's kitchen stove.
on the stove in the house.
In the house. Yep.
And how big was this brand and what is the brand?
It was probably 3 inches by 3 inches.
Holy cow.
It's like a bull skull with 2 R's.
Rawhide
each facing
Rodeo.
each other. Rawhide Rodeo, Rough Riders. Yeah, I don't.
Lord help us.
And where is it? I know Miss Choi is on his arm, right?
Yeah.
Where is your brand?
It's on my arm too, up by my shoulder.
Up by your shoulder.
Yeah.
And not a big deal. Do it, be done, move on.
Yeah, it was pretty cool at first.
What does that mean? Like at the minute you had it done, you're like, that's cool.
Yep.
Did you scream?
No, it wasn't as bad as I expected, really.
Was somebody holding you?
Yep. I had.
And you wanted them to hold you, to be fair.
Yeah, I wanted to. I knew I was going to get burnt, so I wanted to do it right.
Yeah. And to do it right, you don't want to move, right? You want it to. And how long did you figure it had to be on there?
We didn't really know. We tried it on a leather wallet before we.
Oh, you did? Well, at least you experimented. So this wasn't the first thing you had branded.
No.
You'd done that a dozen times or so on that wallet?
Yeah. I don't know. No, just once.
Just once.
But we did hold it on our arm and mark it out with a pen, so we got it in the right spot. We
While
put
it was
some
hot?
thought into it.
While
No,
it was
before it was hot.
Oh, you did. So you had some planning. This
Yeah.
wasn't like hey, I got this crazy idea and spur of the moment kind of a thing. This was somewhat premeditated.
Yep.
And let me ask you, I know Jer's not a big drinker, but you weren't supposed to be drinking at that age. Were you drunk when you did this?
No, we were not.
Okay, I didn't think so, but maybe you should say yes.
That might explain it a little bit better. So it made contact with the skin.
Yep.
And how long? I mean, did you have a general idea? I got to hold it for 10 seconds. I got to hold it for.
We held it on there for probably 30 seconds.
And it was like red hot.
It was red hot. Yep.
And okay, so that's a pretty deep burn.
Yep. It was. I wanted to do it right, but it was too hot and we held it on too long. Now I got just a big glob on my arm. You can't even really tell what it is.
You can't even tell what it is.
If you see the brand, you can put it together, but
Okay.
lots of people call it a butterfly.
I hadn't heard that one. So, have you thought of getting a tattoo to do an outline of it? Back to, not the butterfly.
Yeah, I thought about it, but they said nobody would go near it.
Really?
I didn't want a tattoo anyway. That's why
Yeah.
we decided a brand.
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
everybody has a tattoo.
Yeah. Because you didn't want something that would last forever.
It got really infected though.
So, okay. So you get this brand. You immediately cover it up. You put ice on it. Is it bleeding? What do you do?
No, it was just black, where the iron touched, it was black, a little white around it,
Okay.
and it looked pretty cool for a couple days.
For a couple days. You covered it up. You treat it like a sunburn. What did you do?
I didn't do anything until it got pretty nasty. And I
So-
actually went to the doctors for something else.
Not
And
for that.
Not for that, but I asked him to look at it.
Yeah. Did he ask you how that happened?
Yeah. I want to know what kind of drugs I was on.
Did he? Did he want to test you at that
Brought
point?
like every doctor and nurse in the whole place in. And took an iodine brush and scrubbed it off.
That hurt.
That hurt, yep. Yeah, it hurt. It got pretty infected.
And how did it finally heal? Just time?
Yeah, I had to keep scrubbing it off. Like, start to scab over and you have to scrub it off, and I don't remember what they gave me to put on it, but pretty messy for a little while.
Was it?
And I didn't even know they were branded until he went to the doctor. They kept it pretty quiet from
How do
me
you
for a
keep
long
that
time.
quiet? You do it on the gas stove at the house, and in the kitchen. You did all this.
Yeah,
the
in
branding.
the kitchen. Yep.
And didn't that leave kind of an odor?
Yeah. Yeah, the odor was the worst part when we did it. I don't know if it killed the nerves, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be when we actually did it.
Okay.
It was the aftermath.
And you weren't the only one that got branded at the time. Did you go first? Did you go second?
Oh, I think we flipped a coin. I don't remember who went first.
And if the other went first or you went first, the other one wasn't going to back out. Was that the deal?
Nope, we both did it.
Okay. Wow. Well, we hadn't heard that part. So do it all over again? You do it again? Maybe not hold it as long?
I'd have done it different.
But you'd have redone it?
Yeah.
Okay. Part of the Rawhide Rodeo crew. I mean, no leaving it.
Nobody said we're too smart.
No. So to the IFR, of course, Eli, right? He was down there, and Rawhide Rodeo's BJ Prince, part of the original Rawhide Rodeo crew, right? He came to work with you 16, 17, Sam?
Yeah, probably 15, 16.
15,
like
16. And he hung around. He enjoyed the sport of rodeo and still putting on great rodeos up in Canada.
Yeah, that's kind of his life now. You know, what mine used to be. And so let him at it.
You bet. And Rawhide Rodeo had the 2024 Bull of the Year, 057 Smudge.
Yeah, that's one of Corey's bulls. He leases bulls from him, actually all his bulls, the horses he has. And but that's one of Corey's bulls, and congratulations, Corey.
You bet. Excellent. And then coming up through this last 2 days, Sam, you and I have been in Lexington, Kentucky at the Kentucky Horse Park in the AllTech Arena. What do you think of that facility, first off?
The facility's fantastic. You know, it's not like downtown inner city, but seats probably 10,000 people, and it's supposed to be sold out tonight, I heard. And just got everything you'd want to do with horses. It's, of course, you're in Kentucky at a horse park. So what better could it be? Maybe not the best for getting in and out of traffic, but other than that, it's great.
Yeah. And we got there Thursday morning. You come to town. We got there on Thursday morning because there was a round of slack that morning, Thursday morning, and a bit of and we put some of this together, and we've gotten educated, Sam, since we sat down and started talking about the American rodeo. And this is what they call a qualifier. There's 4 qualifiers, I believe, across the U.S.
I think 3.
3 qualifiers. West, we are the East.
Right.
And then there's something in Tennessee, I think, coming up. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure there's
for the
3
Central.
qualifiers.
For the Central.
Do you know, Raymond?
Yeah, I think there are 3. There's one in Vegas, and then this one, and is there one in Fort Worth, maybe?
Could be. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
there's 3, I believe. So.
And the thing that impressed me, Sam, we saw 95 barrel racers on Thursday morning.
Yeah, I was worried I might be late. I said I drove 12 hours to watch Colton and Raymond, and I might miss them. But I got with 95 barrel racers and probably close to the same breakaway ropers, I don't know, and calf roping, and yeah, there's a lot of interest
Yeah.
in this. So.
And the caliber of competitors, Sam, in all the events that we watched. And we watched not only the barrel racing and the breakaway, the tie-down roping, the team roping, of course, the steer wrestling, just tremendous horsepower. I mean, incredible horses. And the level of competition was just incredible.
And at that level, the horsepower is so much of it. You know, without the right horsepower in any of the events, you know, it's you're probably not going to make it where you need to get. And you know, they say calf roping's 80% of the horse. Well, I'm sure it involves every one of those because these people are so good. You know, they don't make mistakes. They just go do their job, and they're so good, and the horse makes the difference.
And speaking of good horses, we saw Colton. There were 40 steer wrestling runs, and he was actually 38th out of 40 in the run order, and he places fourth with a great run.
Yeah, I think he was seventh.
After the
first
round. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
Seventh after the first round.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Made a really nice businessman's run. You know, he was 4-something, and coming back, everything looked really good. So he did a good job.
You bet. And then we got to go have lunch with him and his crew. Bunch of cowboys, bunch of steer wrestlers from all over the country. We had Canada, we had Kansas.
Yeah, Oregon. Yeah, it was
Texas.
Yeah.
Oklahoma. It was
a
a bunch of great cowboys there, and just all gentlemen. It was fun to hang out with them. And then yesterday, Friday, we went back for the second round, and Colton and the steer wrestling there came in with about a 7-second run, and you had to be in the top 10 at the end of 2 runs to qualify to the finals, which is tonight. So the top 10 in each of the events. And he was just a little bit long, took him out of the aggregate. But then they had something that was really cool. Something, Sam, we're not accustomed to in the sport of rodeo. Redemption round.
Yeah, this is something that they've put in for the timed events in case you draw bad or something happens in any of the timed events. You can buy your way back in. And Colton did that and ended up winning it.
Wins the redemption round and advances. So tonight we go cheer him on.
Yeah, we get to go back tonight and yeehaw. Let's see where it goes.
Absolutely.
Top 5, that's what we're pushing for.
You bet. And of course, Raymond last night draws a great Bronc, Frontier Rodeo, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that Bronc, a little bit about your ride.
I looked him up on stock stats, and Lefty was, I think, 84 on him earlier this past year, and a couple of guys were 82. And he was a little bit wild in there when I put my saddle on. Didn't quite get my saddle up where it should have been, and it just didn't get a great start.
What happens when your saddle isn't, and it was very apparent. Second jump, we could see it on our side. What happened when a saddle comes back and it's darn near in the center of its back instead of up onto the withers?
Yeah, you feel like you're behind the whole time. Like you feel all that power, and it's not a good feeling.
Yeah,
it's just
hard to move legs. Everything just feels heavy.
Yeah, and your stirrup leathers get kind of bound up, and it's hard to spur on good with your saddle too far back.
You bet. And in all situations, we learn something, right?
Yeah.
You like the Bronc.
Yeah, I mean, they've done good on him. So, yeah.
Yeah, and he felt good for you.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't feel very good because of my saddle, but...
Right.
Yeah.
But nothing wild.
No, I mean, he had a little bit of a move maybe, but nothing bad.
So to do it all over again, next time you draw the horse, what's the plan?
Make sure your saddle's right, and take your time and make sure everything's right.
So you would have needed to pull it forward probably about 4 inches.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And with a horse, big wide horse.
Yeah.
And how do you do that and keep the saddle up there so first jump out it's not sliding back?
Yeah, just get your latigos loose, your cinch loose, put it all the way up there, and you can pull your back cinch first to kind of keep it there when you pull them down. I like to pull the skin back a little bit underneath the latigos and just snug it down. And,
Okay.
I mean, you can only get it up so far. Like, you know, the big horse is hard sometimes to get it up all the way up there where you want it. But
Well, that's one thing you can control. You can't control a lot in the bronc riding, but yeah, where your saddle is and what you can do in the buck and shoot is what you can control. We talked about little things that I did to see if it was there, but sometimes, especially when one's bad in there and moving around, it's hard to make sure you got it right, and then they come to you and you're not ready and they start hurrying you, and you just, okay, let's get in and go, and you know, control what you can.
Control what you can, absolutely. And Raymond, you had ridden in qualifiers for the American before, so this one's a lot closer to the house than last time you did it.
yeah, I went to Fort Worth before to do the same thing as this. Yeah, and yeah, that was cool. That was fun, but this is a lot closer.
Yeah. Got this on your 2025 schedule for next, again, I should say 2026, end of this next rodeo season. Got this back on your schedule?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep trying to make it. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And tonight, Sam and I go back. You guys are headed to Texas, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys got the wheels turning all the time, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah, and Jeremy, I got to ask you, you're seeing the big money of the American, of course, $1 million to win it all. This paid off pretty good, or this will pay off pretty good here, this rodeo, to win into place. So tempted to get the bull rope back out, get the zebra chaps back out, time to rosin up and go?
I wish. I'd love to, but I don't know if my body can handle it no more.
No. Is that why you quit rodeoing?
Yeah, and I got kids now to take care of, so.
You bet.
And what do they say? Father Time is undefeated.
That's right. Well, it's a pretty remarkable time we're living in the sport of rodeo with the amount of money that's coming in. And Sam, I wanted to. It was kind of like a Rawhide Rodeo reunion, Friends of Rawhide, whatever you want to call it. Sylvain Bourgeois, general manager of the St. Tite Rodeo. It was a super qualifier, super contender, I believe is what they call it, super contender. So the winner of each event up there automatically bypassed the regional qualifier, the go rounds, and has gone all the way to the finals.
Yeah, they qualify to come in for Saturday night.
Yeah.
Without going through the qualifier or worried about drawing something wrong. So you contestants out there, if you want to think about that, think about entering St. Tite Rodeo, and then you're automatically, whatever you do for the buy-in, and you win it, St. Tite Rodeo, then you automatically go straight to Saturday night and don't have to worry about what happens through the week.
You bet. And talking about St. Tite, a win up there, number one, is going to put a lot of money in your pocket, a lot of money in the standings, Sam, for anybody that's running for an IPRA World Championship. And now, icing on the cake, drops you into the middle of this Eastern region qualifier.
And that probably more than makes up for the pain of getting across the border and all the little extra things, But when you go to these big rodeos, they have challenges.
You bet.
I'm not going to say a pain, but most the challenges are.
Yep.
And it just makes a difference if you can shoot right into the championship round without having to worry about and get paid to get there.
You bet. You bet.
So.
And those guys, BJ and Sylvain, they're putting on 40 rodeos this upcoming season.
Yeah, they're staying pretty busy, and they put good money at all of them, and they're pretty good rodeos to go to, and not a bad place for people to go in the summer, or especially somebody starting out that's got talent. Think about the Canadian tour.
You bet.
It's a good
IPRA
place
Canada,
to be.
right?
Yep.
Get up there and get it. A brand new rodeo this last year was Nova Scotia.
Yeah, I think that was a Bulls and Broncs, and from everything I heard, it was very successful, and they're they got big things going for that one, I think.
You bet. You bet. So tonight we'll go in and watch this rodeo. I hear it's sold out, the arena.
That's what I heard.
And we saw some talent last night. It's going to be a heck of a show. And it's on TV, right? It's going to be broadcast. So you'll have an opportunity to check it out. And we're going to cheer on. We got Colton riding tonight in the short round. We're going to cheer him on for sure. We got Dalen. History was made last night.
Yeah, Dalen was at the PBR in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They haven't had an event there since, I don't know the date.
Early 90s?
Late 80s, early 90s. I was there when they stopped having them. I was there riding. But the city passed an ordinance of no rodeo in the city. And, of course, they had a bull break its leg. We'll get down to the meat of it and talk about it. Had a bull break its leg, and doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. And turned out they passed the ordinance, no rodeo in the city. And you and I went to Johnstown.
Great place for you. I love the venue, but go ahead.
Yeah, and we talked, and I kept saying to you, they're doing this to go to Pittsburgh. I bet you, because they want to get in that market. And the PBR showed the city people of Pittsburgh, I'm sure, were there, and they said this is what we do, and showed them, and they must have lifted the band. And Dalen was the first one to ride a bull in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in probably 30 some years.
Got a score last night.
Yeah, made a great ride, had a nice bull. And I don't know where he finished for sure. When they quit televising it, he was splitting fourth and fifth. And then they had more guys because of the team thing that they quit doing. So
let's talk a little bit. This is new this year too, PBR. Of course, we watched the team season. Of course, Dalen rides for the Carolina Cowboys, coached by Jerome Davis. And this year, during the individual Unleash the Beast, which is the individual championship in the PBR, on Friday nights, they will bring a team competition in, meaning two teams will compete against each other, 6 bulls, I believe, and unlike in the team season, the coach who's there coaching, which I think is tremendous for these riders to have a full-time coach, but in addition to that, the coach cannot select the bull for the cowboy. It's still back on draw.
Yeah, and it's on draw because it goes right to as you're riding individual.
Yep.
So if you win on that night, it goes towards the event win, like in Pittsburgh. And my theory, they're trying to do this for TV plus trying to push the team format to let more people know about it, which is good. If you've ever go to a team thing live, even if you don't have a team and you sit up and watch the spectators, they really, really enjoy to have something to root for.
You bet.
And they root for them.
They do. And Madison Square Gardens was a few weeks ago. Paid $100,000 to win 3 days of rodeo, bull riding, I should say, sold out crowds, and New York last year for the first year now has its own team. So to be able to have a home team representing, I think that went over really well in Madison Square Gardens.
Yeah, I believe. And you don't know how many people sat up there that never knew New York had a team. I bet you way more that did know. And it was a way to inform them. And then, of course, New York fan base, they're kind of known for their, how should we say this, they want to...
They're devoted fans.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. And they voice their opinion fairly loudly. And the New York won the team that day. And it was, well, taken in, They really seemed to enjoy it.
So we covered a lot of ground here today, Sam and Jeremy and Raymond. Is there anything we haven't covered before we say goodbye? Okay. Well, we've enjoyed this. It's been great. Like I say, it's kind of a darn near like a family reunion, and we definitely got to keep it on the calendar. Okay, so let's plan on doing it. I know you guys are headed to Texas. Jeremy and Raymond, you're headed to Texas. Sam and I are going to be co-watching the PBR and the American tonight live in the audience. So good luck to everybody.
Well, and the boys go to Texas and get that barn put up before I get there. It'll be all good.
Absolutely. So safe travels, right? Eyes up. And remember, you guys are out representing. You're riding for the brands, Rawhide Rodeo. It is Rawhide Rodeo, skull and horns, not a butterfly, Jeremy. I just want to make sure that our audience knows that.
Yep.
Okay. And you're riding for the brand, BTC?
That's right, Doug.
And the original Rawhide crew. So great to have you with us. So it's Sunday morning. We are sitting here in Taylorsville, Kentucky. And when I say we, Sam is back and had a great night last night, Sam.
It was really interesting, yes.
So we're talking about the American Eastern Qualifier at the Kentucky Horse Park in Lexington, Kentucky. We had one of the original Rawhide Rodeo crew members, Colton Swearingen, of course. Had a heck of a week. Opened up on Thursday, Sam.
Yeah, placed in the first round, came back. He was a little long in the second round to make the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was like 12th or 13th, but he doing his basics very well. Looked like he needs to eat a few more peanut butter sandwiches, put a little more mass on, but other than that, his technique was fantastic.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And last night, so he came up through and he qualified to the top 10 to get into that short go round last night. Sam, talk about that run.
Last night's run?
Yeah.
Yeah, he made a good run. The horse, he kind of checked the horse right at the barrier and was a smidget late, and you had to be in the top 5, and he was number 6.
He was number 6.
He was about 0.3 of a second off.
Yeah.
5. So, you know, it's rodeo. You're right there. You got the steer to do it on, and then just something. And this horse is going to be real good. He's just got to get him to stand in the box because, like we said before, you know, if you're thinking about your horse, you're not thinking about the other things you need to be thinking about. That should be one thing that you don't have to worry about.
You bet. Mounted up on great horsepower, just a little tweaking there.
Yeah, you know, it's a young horse and really wants to work, and that's Mark Joyner's horse that guy he's traveling with, and he made it back to the
short round,
and he actually had the steer that Colton was 4-6 on, and he was a little long. He was like 6 seconds. So
when did he finish? 7th, I believe, behind Colton.
They probably did.
Yeah.
6th and 7th. Son of a gun, huh?
You bet. And then Stetson Jorgensen, of course, we had lunch with him. We had lunch with Mark and Colton on Thursday. Good bunch of guys he's hauling with. He came back last night short round also.
Yeah, well, a lot of them did. Jesse Brown, he came back in good shape, and it was a who's who in bulldogging. Actually, when you looked at the top 10, you know, Wag is back and Kyle Erlin, which won the short go last night with a 3.8 or 3.9, a really good run. And he was appreciative and said he had the best steer. And, you know, those guys back in the box, they don't worry about nothing but their steer, and they're focused.
You bet.
It is a very mental, focused game for them.
You bet. And the event last night, Sam, what's your takeaway?
I thought there was a few things that need tweaking, but all in all, this is a really great show they're putting on. The sound wasn't very good in the building, and I even had a guy I didn't know poke me inside and said, "Can you understand what they're saying? Is he talking English?" So, you know, and I'm sure they'll
figure that out. Yeah.
but the venue was fantastic. And don't be in a hurry when it's over.
Yeah, a lot of traffic to get out, and it was sold out, Sam. I don't know how many it seats. Did you ever hear a number? 12,000, 10,000?
Yeah, I would say around 10,000.
10,000. Yeah.
But yeah, when it's a good thing when you walk up the door and there's things on there sold out. And,
I was so excited. You know, we got in about an hour before the show, and we parked in the way back corner, back. So no, I'm walking up. I'm like, this is good for the sport.
Right. Yeah, and it looked like Pittsburgh was sold out last night.
So let's talk
beautiful
Dalen.
things.
Another the Rawhide Rodeo crew out there getting it done. Dalen has a great ride on Friday night. We talked about that yesterday in our session. Talk a little bit about his ride, Sam.
Yeah, he rode a bull called Baldy, turned back to the left, and Dalen just rode him just the way you're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And that bull, he rode him before, and he was 89 points. Now, he was only 86, 87 last night, or Friday night.
Yeah.
And the bull was good, but Dalen just rode him right. You know, everything was good. And then when I seen his draw for today, I didn't like it. That bull, nobody gets along with him. And, you know, I thought, well, if Dalen gets him started right, but he clicked his heels right out of there.
Jump out of there, boy.
Yeah, just really hard to ride.
You bet.
That's part of it, you know. And then he finished like 15th or something the last I seen, so he might have been a little lower than that. So he didn't come back in the short go. They take the top 12.
Yeah. Yeah. What a weekend, though. It is so cool, Sam. We've got the Rawhide Rodeo crew. They're out and representing. They're out in competition darn near every weekend.
Yeah, and everywhere I go, you know, people say, well, what are you doing now? And, you know, basically I'm chasing the boys.
Yeah.
when I can, you know, last weekend went to Houston to watch Dalen, and this weekend go to Kentucky to watch Colton and Raymond. You know, it's a lot of fun.
You bet. And St. Tite's Super Contender Qualifier, and that, of course, is whoever won the event up there this year qualified all the way into the short round. I got to say thank you to Sylvain and BJ for making sure that it could be in Lexington, Kentucky, so all of us could get together in one place, Sam.
Oh, I thought you set that up, Doug.
No.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is you can, if you go to that rodeo up in St. Tite, Quebec, and win first,
Yeah.
you get an automatic buy right straight into the short go here on Saturday. And you don't have to worry about drawing bad or horse messing up until Saturday.
You bet. And great to see Sylvain and BJ and catch up and hang out.
Yeah, it was very enjoyable. You know, time to relax and talk to them without talking business and running circles. Of course, you always relate everything back to business, but
Yeah.
it was a good time.
And then Colton still got another qualifying opportunity to get to AT&T Stadium, Arlington. What is that? The 11th and 12th of April is the big ride for the million.
Yes, and I did get a little more understanding on the format.
Okay.
And I don't think it's at an AT&T Stadium this year. I could be right, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I believe it's probably where they play the baseball, where the Rangers play the baseball.
Oh, okay.
There. But nevertheless, they take, from these three regions, they take the top five people. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you end up in the top five, you automatically go to the big show.
You bet.
Okay. And I'm going to call it the big show because I don't know where it's going to be at.
Right.
Then they take the top five in the world in the PRCA standings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they take the top five there. And as you notice, there was a lot of people this weekend in the top five of the world. And this is all just my understandings, like I'm wrong on some things, and I was wrong on the mark-out rule yesterday. They do have a mark-out rule here, but they get to challenge it to make sure they did it, which is a great thing. But getting back to the rodeo itself, the top 5 in the world are automatic invite. They don't have to go through anything. But my understanding now, after talking with someone, if you come through the qualifier, you are eligible for the million.
I see. So top 5 is not in the world standings that gets invited.
Correct.
Okay.
I think they'll go back to winning 100,000 if they win it.
Okay.
But if they come through the qualifiers,
That's neat.
they are eligible.
Okay. Isn't that incredible? I mean, just such huge money. So Colton's going to enter up the Tulsa qualifier. That's going to be coming up here in February, I believe.
Yeah, I think around February 4th, 5th, something in there. I seen it on the credentials. That's how I said. Oh. So, he's got one more shot, and hopefully it works out.
You bet. And excited that we got some cowboys going to be riding for the BTC brand this year.
Yeah, it seems like all the boys are going to be wearing the shirts. And, well, not Dalen, but the other 3.
Right.
Dalen, it cost us way too much to put it on him, but good for them.
You bet. And being able to run another year with Eli, right? He rode for the brand this year, and I got to ask Sam, we had this big Rawhide Rodeo reunion in Lexington/Taylorsville, Kentucky. Where was Eli?
I don't know, Eli. Hello. Now, he's a new married man, and he's taking care of what he needs to take care of. I'm very proud of him for that. And the boys have just grown up to be good young men, and makes you feel good.
You bet. And Raymond Hofstetter, of course, he was here. He's riding for the brand again this year. So we got 3 of them out there, Sam, going to have the BTC brand on. The original Rawhide Rodeo gang.
Well, not the original. We've been through many, but this was the last of the Mohicans. So
The last crop you put out there.
Yeah.
And that's pretty impressive. And then, of course, yesterday, Jeremy, fun to have him around. Great to see him. He looks good. Sounds like he is busy building barns.
Yeah, Jeremy he's a worker. When he first came to me, he was in Jeremy's my nephew, my brother Danny's family, and he's got great kids, and they're just, those kids work hard and they're very intelligent, and thank you, Wendy. But Jeremy, he thinks about things that, how do you do it, and very creative in his mind, and he works. I was doing the Benton Rodeo, and I went down to sign the contracts, and Jeremy was down there working for this guy, and the guy said to me, he said, Sam, that boy has worked for me about 2 years now, and he's never been late one day. I said, thank you. That makes you feel good,
You bet.
And, there was days when he was 16, 17 years old. We'd come in from a rodeo, and he'd be out watering livestock, and he'd be so tired his body would just shake, but he didn't want to give up, he's a worker, that boy.
You bet. And great rodeo career too. I was trying to see if he'd bust it back out, but he's got business going on right now. So.
Yeah, he actually got on one a year or so ago, or maybe last year.
Oh, he did. Okay.
And ripped his bicep. So
oh my goodness.
I said, you got it.
that can make it hard to pound nails if you're building barns. You got to rip biceps.
Yeah, and I think he wanted to show the kids that he could ride, and it didn't work.
Yeah. Father time, right?
Yeah.
So, a little bit of business we got going on. Dalen's got us involved in this bull team. And we've been in 2 events so far. And, of course, it's Beyond the Chutes bull team. What's the official name, Sam?
You just said it.
Okay. So, talk a little bit about the bull team concept.
The idea is really good. I don't know who put it together or the PBR has a real big one that has a big carrot at the end of, I believe, $1 million. You know, here's that number again in this sport, you know, 3 or 4 different avenues to make that kind of money.
Yeah.
But the one we're in now, I think, is a little more local or regional. I hope it is. But they take say the team sends 2 bulls and sends their own riders.
Yep.
So, and it's a combination of the points on the bull.
And the rider.
And the rider,
right.
not just the bull.
Yep.
So you want a really rider-friendly bull that bucks really hard.
Right.
And so we were lucky enough the first one that, of course, Dalen, he's supplying the bulls and the riders and everything for us. And says, well, you want to be in on it? And said, okay. And his team didn't win last time. We did. So he called or texted me last night, do you want in on another one? And I was thinking before I answered him, well, is he trying to get revenge or what here? But so we decided to try it again. And
so BTC bull teams out there, another event.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And we went to the PBR one with one in the short go, and we didn't do too good. They rode our bull, and
just not enough points.
Yeah, the bull wasn't good enough. So yeah, we'll see how this week goes. Maybe heroes or maybe zeros. We'll see what happens. But
back in the rodeo business. So you're headed back to Texas.
Yep. The boys are down there going to build a barn for us, so I better get down there. Hopefully it'll be about done when I get there. But
no doubt. Well, I was listening to Jeremy yesterday. He was asking all the right questions, so no doubt they've already got post sets and probably got the rafters almost up by now.
Well, I doubt that, but they didn't get in there. He texted me about 11 o'clock, said he was about 3 hours out. So
okay,
I just told him where to turn the heat on and get some sleep.
You bet. And finally, BTC is going to be back on the road again, Sam. Headed to Montgomery, Alabama, to the Kickback Ranch, February 22nd. We're going to be down there at Jerry Todd's Rodeo Reunion. Tell us a little bit of what we can expect.
I went there last year. Don't know if I'll make it this year or not yet, but it's just great people. Jerry and Mindy are just wonderful hosts of this. And, you know, being in that area, there wasn't many people I knew. You know, I knew some of them, but there was a guy that really stood out, the bullfighter, Martin. Buddy Martin. Yeah, worked for Longhorn for years.
Yeah, I know the name, sure.
But his brother was there.
Okay.
I got to meet him, and we talked stories about Buddy, and he had a really good one. And I don't want to tell it because I don't remember all the details, but it was good.
I'm hoping he'll be there again. Now,
I bet he will.
We're going to hang out probably an extra day. I already got lined up to interview with Sid McFarland.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the rodeo clown. I've been going down the road, I don't know, hundreds of years, it feels like. I mean, what a great entertainer. I met him, of course, that's Trent's father, Trent McFarland, who we have worked with a bunch, you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And saw him at the Mountain Cove, Marlon Harris's rodeo reunion down there. Didn't get a chance to record with him, but we made a date for Jerry Todd's reunion. So we're going to record with him. Of course, going to try to get Jerry on what a legendary career he has had in the sport of rodeo, and no doubt there'll be others that we're gonna try to sit with, Sam.
Yeah, and Jerry's been there and done that. When I was first starting, I was probably a rookie and went to Alabama. I believe it was Coleman, Alabama. For some reason, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember yesterday, but back the years, it's good. He was announcing, and I thought, wow, that redheaded guy was good, you know. And he was horseback then, and that was the start of, you know, you didn't see it. That might have been the first thing, and that might have been why I thought he was so good. But he did an outstanding job, and now look at him, you know, at least That was 10 years ago at least.
At least, I'll say. And for our listeners, and I've talked a little bit about where we're recording with all the pictures in the office there. Would you just give them your takeaway of all the great Tom Woods pictures that are on the wall?
You know, what you're doing is interesting and great, you know, if you're trying to put a picture with the people that you interview. So later on you can listen to it and say, this was him. Look at him in his younger days. You know, you see Bobby Rowe and Eddie Prosier when Eddie's probably 25 years old, you know. So it's if you can find pictures of somebody interviewed and keep hanging them there, that'll be great for later on, you know, to tell people. And
And as I head down to Montgomery, I think I'm going to do it, Sam, via Jacksonville. Go down and visit Tom Woods and his wife, and get an opportunity to. We've talked so much on the phone, got to know him so well, and that's been the cool thing, Sam, about all of this. You think of the people that we've been able to get in conversation with, and like this big family again.
You know, and I've learned so much from these. I mean, so much, and it is pretty incredible. When we started doing this, we talked about getting the stories of the people that won't get heard. And now we're kind of known as the old guys podcast, but that's okay. You know, we're going to start branching out and getting some other younger people doing it. But we do want to capture these stories that will be gone forever if we're not.
You bet.
And there's been several of them that have gone on since we've interviewed them. So
you bet. And this Tuesday, so this is Sunday, so Tuesday nights is Marty Martin, the rodeo announcer for World's Toughest, Steve Gander, rodeo cowboy, collegiate cowboy, professional cowboy. We had 3 or 4 conversations. He's helping a bunch with the Longhorn rodeo documentary we're trying to put together. And then this week, and of course we had Ron Martin last week. That era is well represented in that story about a nightmare, the great Bronc of the J. Bar J Rodeo Company. And this week had an opportunity to sit down with Wendell Ratchford. And Sam, I'm telling you, what a story.
Yeah, I'm sure Wendell has lots of stories and where he's been and what he's done. He's grown up in it. You know, when you're talking about Longhorn and the guys that, you know, you think of who branched out from him, just sitting here thinking, well, that's not a lot different from what I've done. But the scale, they branched out and put on rodeos and they rented their own buildings and promoted them like he did.
You bet.
And
you bet.
So,
you know, and that is so correct. And it says something, you know, a lot of these cowboys worked for Bruce when they were younger, went off and did some other things, and guess what they did towards the end of their career? They come back and they work for Bruce again, which says an awful lot about the man Bruce Lurkey.
Yeah, you know, anybody in that status or clout of the business, you know, there are always going to be some negatives that run around and I heard him when I was a kid, you know, he's making all the money for himself, he's taking from us, you know, and when you really think of what he did, it was incredible. He did for the Cowboys, but you got to make a living, and how many times did he go to bed wondering if his ranch was going to be there because of crowds, you know? Right. Yeah, and we had to put our saddle in the truck and go to the next one.
That's right. And just incredible. And made contact, had 2 conversations with George Rundquist, the one-man band. What an interesting person. I'm doing my best to get him on the show, Sam, but man, he comes from 100 different directions and such talent. He and his family been in the business a long time.
Yeah, George, I've known him a long time, and yeah, he was a protege of Longhorn, And he went on, and I wrote it. He promoted rodeos and put them on, and they even did some of the team concepts back in the East, in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia and all that.
You bet.
And another thing about Pittsburgh, they had a ban on rodeos, and they lifted it just for the PBR. I mean, not just for the PBR, but they lifted it and sold out crowds both days, you know.
You bet.
And, yeah, great.
And a couple of other guests that I'm working on that we're going to record with. We talked yesterday, or Friday, I guess it was, with Rick Samuels,
Oh, yeah.
photographer out of upstate New York, up around the Tappan Zee Bridge, and he's in Lexington now. We run into him at the American Qualifier, Sam, on Friday. He's out here shooting horses for the racing industry.
Yeah, that was another surprise. That was very nice, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he'll have a wealth of pictures from Andy Camp's rodeos, my rodeos, and right down the line. He's a great photographer. He took a picture of Carrie carrying the flag. It's just amazing. Just so beautiful. The colors, the green. It was probably in May, and she had the red, white, and blue skirt on that covered the horse, and it's got it hanging in the room.
You bet. And he showed us pictures on the phone of you, of Mike. Had you seen those pictures before?
No.
So I'm excited we get to work with him. We're gonna put some stuff together and get his works out into the world.
Yeah.
And then working on recording with Wendy Ratchford.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Getting her lined up, and excited about that. Excited to hear her story and her adventures, and when she was riding with and performing with the Longhorn Rodeo Company all those years. And then I've got a special guest, and I just lined it up this week, Sam. Miss Nancy Swearingen's going to come on the show.
Oh, well, as long as she doesn't hear too many of our stories, we're good.
Yeah, I think she's heard quite a few of them. She's a listener, of course.
Yeah, she did tell me. She said, "Man, I've learned more from the podcast of what you did than you never would say nothing." And there's probably a reason for that, Mother.
You bet. So I'm excited to have her on. We got a new look coming. We've got a young lady, and we'll be announcing that here in a little bit. A young lady that's come on board to give us a hand with giving us a better look, Sam. And you know the one thing we always can use?
Yeah. A better look.
A better look. So she's a stylist. No, I'm kidding. She's gonna help us tune up some things, and gonna help us as we put our programming together for 2025, and working with the Rawhide Rodeo crew to put some content together with them, and look forward to another great year with Parasite Systems. You had the opportunity. We were able to go down and see Eric and the gang right here in Lexington.
Yeah, that was a interesting, kind of way above my pay scale. But yeah, it had machines running and building plastic parts, and they got it going on.
They got it going on, and all for a great cause. Helping out the vet clinics and getting the right testing so we can keep our horses, our dogs, our cats, our cattle in good condition. And when we see the horsepower we saw in that arena this week, Sam, it's a perfect fit having Parasite Systems on. And anymore, it's not even Parasite Systems just from the Parasite side. They can do now upwards of 37 tests, bloodborne, flowborne, and we're going to learn a whole bunch more about them. Marlon Harris is working on getting us into the equine health industry, and going to be taking around and introducing us to some folks, and hopefully bring some great information back to our listeners.
Yeah, just think about that. A year and a half ago, you never even heard of Marlon Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Now we did interview with him, and I've known Marlon a long time, but you didn't, and it's coming full circle. He's coming around and helping out to the Parasite situation. So it's funny how things work.
You bet. You bet. No, he's been great to have on the team, and whether, as we have said, all the way through all these conversations, certainly we can talk about some great rides. Go look at the pictures of Gene Maynard in the Silver Dome on the horse that I didn't know this. You actually ended up owning.
Yeah, I purchased them from J Bar J. Yeah.
And if you have an opportunity, I may post that picture up again. Sam Classic.
Yeah, that picture's been pretty much wherever you'd want to see a rodeo picture. Everything is in the right form, and that was Gene. He just was so classy. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you to our listeners, Sam. We're coming up on 2 years of doing this, and I don't know, we're pushing 130 episodes. A lot of talking, a lot of miles.
Yeah, and yes, thank you for the people that do listen out there. It is very appreciative, and if you don't know, Doug does check it and see how many people are listening, and he'll call me and let me know, this one got this much and this one got this much, and it's enjoyable to see people taking it in and really hearing the stories that would never get told.
You bet. Yeah. Someday these, and they already matter. I shouldn't say it that way, but someday this is going to be these folks in their own words talking about their experiences.
Well, just think about it. What would you like to know about your great-grandparents?
Yeah.
You
bet.
Or your great-great-grandparents, and they could plug this in, and this was your Grandpa Jerry,
Yep.
and his story, and his words.
In his words, absolutely.
So someday those Bellis kids will hear that and say, "Wow, that was my relative."
Yeah. And we had the privilege of recording. You talk about Jerry Bellis. That was just an amazing time sitting on his front porch. Gosh, he pulled out, and we recorded the first time about 5 hours nonstop. Then we went back and visited again, Sam. Just priceless moments and priceless conversation.
Yeah, just wonderful family, and his faith. I always had respect for the way him and Jeannie carried themselves and their faith. It's like, wow, that's what you want to strive for in life. Yeah, great man.
And then we had an opportunity to, Mike called me and said, you got to talk to this guy. He was a professional football player, and we worked for him. And then he wanted to learn how to steer wrestle, and he was into his 30s when he started steer wrestling. Russ Romano.
Yeah, I've known Russ since I was a kid, and Russ was always on the move and talking, and he was construction at first, and then he went into selling real estate, and I thought, well, there's a job for him, because he can just talk, and it was, I went down, and before we interviewed him, or you interviewed him, I went and seen him in Florida. Mike was down in Florida. I went and seen Mike, and then we went over and visited Russ for a while, and then I heard he passed away. So
yeah. When we were at Mike's reunion in October, I got the privilege of meeting his wife, Jillian, and she came up, and just a great conversation, and a great person, and she gave me a picture that hung in Russ's office, and that's a picture of John Downing, and now it hangs in my office.
And there you go, full circle again. You got the picture of John, which we all respected so much, and was always a gentleman, a great person to everybody. You couldn't help but like John if you met him.
Oh yeah.
And Russ must have felt the same way if he had his picture hanging in his office, and then you got it, and I got to see Julian at the party, and it was, it's hard, but it's great.
To have these memories in their own words.
Yeah.
And then Randy Steffens passed away a few weeks ago. And just I'd had three or four conversations with Randy and the stories. And just, you couldn't make some of these stories up. I mean, they're so good. And had an opportunity over Christmas, called, he had fallen, he was in rehab, had called down there and merrily answered and talking with them and catching up. And I can hear Randy in the background saying, "Tell him I've got another horse story," because he'd heard Marlon Harris's story. Oh. And so always a competitor. He thought he had one probably a little bit better. And in retrospect, I should have said, "Put him on. Let's record it."
Yeah.
In retrospect. So, priceless.
Heinz, if we'd have known, what we know now, then, or whatever. If we would know something, we'd be in a different kind of studio.
Yeah, no, that's right. And we are motivated. I'm super motivated to get these stories, that generation of cowboys and the cowgirls, their stories out.
Yeah, and we learn so much. So much.
Incredible, the amount of it. I mean, I was talking to my folks when I went out. We went to lunch, and I'm talking an hour about 15 different people that I had met and the stories that I had learned and the information that I had learned. Yeah. And my dad says you need to write a book, Sam. and we got all these great transcripts that have come from these interviews. Who knows? Who knows where we go?
Well, Doug, it wouldn't surprise me when you get your head set on something. It usually happens. And yeah, and for people out there like Tom Moore.
Yeah.
Jeremy's little boy loves the Mountain Men and Tom Moore. He didn't know Tom Moore rodeoed, but he gravitated towards Tom Moore, and that. So Tom, if you're listening, you got at least one little boy out there that thinks you're the best there is.
You bet. And that all came up. You were on that interview with us, Sam. That all came up because he's looking at a picture of Tom Moore hanging in my office.
Right, yep.
That Tom Woods took.
Right, yep.
Man, the history that's here. Well, we're looking forward to a great 2025. We got ideas, we got plans, we got bull teams. A year ago, I wouldn't have told you I knew anything about bull teams, or we wouldn't be in it. But Dalen's taking us some places.
Yeah, I used to take Dale in places, and now he's taking me there.
You bet. You bet.
And that's what it's all about. Yeah. You raise them the best you can and see where it goes.
You bet.
There's always forks in the road that you want to rope them and drag them back to the center, but I'm very proud of all of them.
All part of it, right? All part of what makes this such a perfect, wonderful life. So,
and the girls, I can't leave them out.
No.
My daughters, they've been through watching their dad on the road and gone and all that, and I used to spoil the oldest one like crazy because I wasn't there, so you'd buy her stuff when you came home, and I thought, oh boy, the man that gets this girl, oh Lord help him. I've spoiled her to death and turned into such a great young lady. And Molly, she's an environmental engineer for the state of New York, and so proud of what they've done.
Oh, absolutely. Think of those girls. I think I got to throw Sister in there, the horse that they all grew up on. Right? She raised a lot of kids. Sister did.
She did.
And she came and stayed with us, of course. Sister did, and we had her, I don't know, 15 years or so, right? Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite memories, and there's probably a picture of it somewhere, but we're in Attica, and the girls, Molly and Kathleen, are both sitting on horses. They're not competing or anything, but they're mounted up, and they're part of what's going on.
Yeah, and actually, Jennifer, Katie's best friend, she had Nickel, a horse that I had, and Katie would ride Sister, and she is in Fort Worth or Dallas for some kind of nursing seminar, and her husband were there, and they wanted to know if I was going to be there this weekend because we were going to go out, and her husband didn't have anything to do. Well, but one day at Attica, in the opening, I was standing on the back of the buck and chutes watching the open, and I said, oh, and they were a ways off, and I said, "This ain't good." They collided. I mean, them horses hit almost head to head. It's just like one didn't take the inside and one didn't take the outside. They were, so.
Well, say what you will about sister, always game.
Yeah. She's been there and done it. We used her.
You bet.
And yeah, it's like I bought her for my brother Danny, and she did his kids, and then did mine and took care of yours. So.
You bet. Oh, so many great memories, and that's our job, Sam. Let's keep recording them.
There you go.
Any final words before we say goodbye on this Sunday morning?
Well, I'd just like to thank the listeners once again. That's something we don't do enough. So
Right.
I appreciate the people that are all maybe sipping coffee and listen to this.
You bet, absolutely. And once again, we want to thank Parasite Systems and all that they do. Brand new, all-in-one system. Talk to your veterinary clinics. You need them for your dogs and your cats and your horses and your pigs and your chickens. They can help out, help us keep stuff safe. And we've got a coupon code BTC023 for your mail-in testing for parasitesystems.com. That's parasite, S-I-G-H-T, systems.com. And I want to say goodbye on this Sunday morning, and let's have a good week out there.
Yeah, and be safe.
Be safe. All right, this is Doug.
This is Sam.
Thank you for listening.